Is there more to midlife than just getting through it? Absolutely. Welcome. I'm your host, Debbie Cunningham, jazz artist turned midlife mentor, and I'm here to say to you loud and clear, it's time for your midlife crescendo. Hey friends! Today on Midlife Crescendo, we are talking about building deeper connection in your relationships. Because it's February, we are focusing on couples, but these principles carry over to improving most of our relationships. Before we dive into the episode, let me remind you we are giving away prizes for those of you who have subscribed and reviewed the podcast. Everyone who reviews and enters will get a free gift from me, but you have to enter. Many of you reached out to me and said you needed help figuring out how to leave a review. So go to midlifecrescendo.com and click Review the Podcast to find a tutorial on how to do that no matter where you are listening. You can also enter the giveaway drawing. On that page is information. We've extended the giveaway through February 25th, 2024, so there's still plenty of time. Okay, now, on with the show. Today's episode is all about better relationships with those we love. It is a solo episode, so I thought I'd take a minute and introduce myself to those of you who have no idea who I am. My name is Debbie Cunningham. I'm a jazz recording artist, an author, and a speaker. Obviously, I'm also a podcast host. I've been married 36 years to my high school sweetheart, Derek, and I have 2 adult kids and 2 grandsons. We are sort of empty nesters because our son moved back in while working full-time and going to grad school full-time. I love God, my family, afternoon tea, dark chocolate, and I try to catch a glimpse of the sunset every day. Encouraging people, especially women, is one of my greatest joys in life. So today, I'll be sharing what I've learned and encouraging you to build deeper connection in your relationships from my 36 years of marriage, of course, but also from my book, Dancing in the Kitchen. Now, why did I write this book? In 2017, I released an album called A Million Kisses. I wrote the songs on that album about the journey of long-lasting love, the ups, the downs, and the celebration of it all. It was after the album came out that many of my fans emailed me about the lyrics in the songs and mentioned that they resonated so much they thought I should write a book on the subject. But then people from other spheres in my life, colleagues and business acquaintances, started to say the same thing about the album and the songs, and I decided that perhaps it was something I should pay attention to. The book itself is filled with stories behind the songs on the album. There are lyrics from the songs in there, and also stories from couples who built deeper connection in their relationship, even while going through hardships. But the feeling of dancing in the kitchen is the kind of love I desire, and I'm assuming you probably do too. That began my journey of encouraging couples to build deeper connection in their relationships. Marriage is a bit like dancing. It's supposed to be fun, but it's harder than it looks. Statistics show that 3 out of 7 couples will divorce, some after 20 or 30 years of marriage. And we have friends who have divorced after 40 years of marriage. So why are couples falling out of love rather than staying in it? Did you know that in the United States, there are more divorces that are filed for in January than any other month? COVID really ramped that up too. Record numbers of divorces were filed after all that quote-unquote togetherness. All relationships have their hard moments, but there are things we can do to build deeper connection and love with one another. These are my top 5 things you can do in your relationship right now. Intentional kindness, prioritize having fun together, forgive the small stuff and don't assume, use a little football strategy, and celebration. Okay, I'll elaborate. Key number 1, intentional kindness. Remember when you first started dating? All those things you would go out of your way to do as you fell in love and built your relationship? You would go out of your way to do something nice for the person. Bring coffee, bake a cake, drive across town to pick something up or to meet up. It was your joy to do that. You didn't feel frustrated or resentful. Okay, things might not be so great in your relationship right now, but remember all those things that you overlooked because you were smitten? I'm telling you, if you will choose to change this one thing, it can have a ripple effect in your marriage and on any relationship. So get up early and make coffee. Bring it to them. Maybe bring it to them in bed. Make breakfast. Pick up the clothes on the floor or put the plate in the dishwasher. But this time, don't complain. Go out of your way to do intentionally kind things for your spouse daily for, let's say, a month and see if anything changes. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it will make a difference. Even if you don't feel like it, just do it. This, my friend, was part of how you built your relationship in the beginning, and it will start to build connection again. Key number 2, prioritize having fun together. This is another thing that may feel awkward at first, especially if you are arguing a lot or feel completely disconnected from your spouse. But this is exactly what you need if you want to build deeper connection. In fact, it's crucial because having fun together builds emotional intimacy, and that can lead to a more fulfilling relationship. If your spouse is laughing and having fun with everyone but you, this is a wake-up sign. This is how you fell in love. Think about it. It makes sense. You built your relationship on having fun together. You fell in love while having fun. You went on dates, had lovely dinners, shared a fun hobby maybe, went to movies or out with friends. You felt joy and lightheartedness all the time when you were together, which is what made you want more of that, right? In Proverbs 17:22, it states that laughter is good medicine, but a downcast spirit dries up the bone. Even doctors say that laughter is good medicine. But somewhere between work, family obligations, and financial stress, couples stop prioritizing having fun together. Just because you're married doesn't mean you shouldn't go out on a date. Even in hard seasons, finding a way to at least laugh together is super helpful. When our daughter was 3 years old, she had to have unexpected open heart surgery. I can tell you, this was a huge deal in our life. We were told that she would most likely be fine, but they also made it very clear that there was a chance she wouldn't make it through the surgery. I can't tell you how overwhelming that was. After that news, I started to have chest pains, and I was 8 months pregnant with my son. So I went to see my doctor. When my test came back normal, he said, "You are just stressed, and anyone going through this would be." Even so, you and your husband have to find a way to have fun together. You need to find ways to laugh during this season. It releases stress in so many ways. It's healthy for you. But having fun is not only a healthy way to live, it's crucial as a connecting point in relationships, whether it's with your spouse, your kids, or your best friend. If you're having trouble with a teenager, try to find something they enjoy and go do it with them. Do this a couple of times. I promise it will begin to open up your relationship and eventually open up conversation. It really did help us to laugh together when things got challenging during that season. It lightened the load. And honestly, life felt more bearable. Key 3, forgive the small stuff daily and don't assume. Okay, here's the deal. Forgiveness doesn't excuse another person's behavior, but it relinquishes you from being controlled by their behavior. I know there are big things that we have to forgive that are difficult and they take process and conversation and sometimes therapy, but that's not what I'm referring to here. Right now, I'm talking about the small stuff that seems to irritate you or trigger your negative response. You know, those pet peeves that we all have, but we don't want it to destroy our relationships, do we? If we can begin to forgive daily and move on without assumption, it will change everything because we often make assumptions about another person's behavior. But those stories we are telling ourselves in our head are often based on emotion and not the facts. I may feel disrespected when someone forgets to put the cup in the dishwasher, but the fact is that person probably got distracted and just forgot. Can we assume the good reason instead of the bad? This is how I changed my approach to it. I ask myself a question. If this person only had 6 months to live, would this thing bug me? So if your spouse only had 6 months to live, would the thing that you're complaining about or that's getting on your nerves really bug you? Probably not. It changes our perspective. Because if someone only had months to live, you would assume a different story. You would assume they didn't mean to do that thing to annoy you. They just did it because they weren't thinking. It's just a thought. Okay, key number 4, try a little football strategy. Now, I know I've got your attention. It's February, the Super Bowl is soon, and I know all of you are rooting for your teams. But a few years ago, I overheard a man talking with his buddy at the grocery store, and he said, "This pro football season is getting a little like my marriage. I keep hoping it'll get better, and it never does." What I wanted to tell him was that a better marriage is possible, but you can't just sit on the bench and hope the team wins. You have to do something to affect the outcome. In marriage, just like football, all teams have to practice and use strategy in order to have a chance at winning the game. Football teams do not win by happenstance. They spend time creating strategy to utilize the strengths of teammates to work towards the common goal of winning. Marriage is no different. Talk about the wins you both would like to work toward in your relationship and see if you can work together to make those happen. Make it a win-win scenario, not a win-lose, a competition. You are teammates and your goal is to finish well together. Don't we all want that? Okay, key number 5, celebration. Celebrate what is good. When the world is falling down around you, I know it's hard to celebrate small wins and milestones, but it's so important. Look at how far you've come, not how far you have to go. Celebrate what is good. Call a truce, at least for an evening. Celebrate what is good in your relationship. My friend David told me when he couldn't take his wife out to celebrate their anniversary anymore because her MS had her confined to a wheelchair, it was disappointing. But instead of focusing on what they couldn't do, they adjusted their expectations and chose to celebrate in ways she could participate. He would order takeout and they would watch a funny movie to have fun together and acknowledge how far they had come and have an evening that transported them away from their difficult and challenging reality. I know it's hard sometimes, but it's so worth fighting for the good in our lives and our relationships. And taking time to celebrate it reinforces that. Okay, to recap, these are the 5. Intentional kindness, prioritize having fun, forgive the small stuff and don't assume, use a little football strategy, and celebrate. I hope you found these 5 keys helpful to make some changes in your own relationships. I talk more in depth about all the keys and strategies you can use and share more stories in my book, Dancing in the Kitchen. So if you'd like to hear more, if you'd like to read more, you can find the book online anywhere books are sold or at my website, debbiecunningham.net/book. You can also download a free sample of my audiobook there. It's time for Chick Chat. So today on this Chick Chat segment, we are going to continue the conversation about connecting with our spouses. And I know sometimes it can be difficult to come up with new ideas. So I invited a few of my friends to weigh in on it and tell us in their own words what they do to connect with their spouses. I hope you enjoy.
Yes, Debbie, you asked about the connections that we have. What we found out is that the connection that we have are basically based on the little things, not great big things, but the small gestures, the small things, like things. We live in nature out here, so we're pretty connected to nature as well, but things like holding hands walking down a country road, or sitting outside and watching hawks circle overhead, or finding shapes in clouds, watching the dogs run free. We do a lot of projects together that give us a common goal. We love to read books together. What are some other things? Cooking dinner together, snuggling on the sofa with peaceful music playing in the evening. We often touch each other when we come in the room and out of the room, which provides a little instant connection. We love to snuggle in bed at night and watch the moon as it lights up the evening sky. So those are a few things that I think really help. We've really found that to really connect, you have to look for the positive. There's a lot of good there, and let them know what you see. If that's your focus and you have a heart of gratitude for your partner, then you'll find that deep connection.
My husband and I are huge Star Trek nerds, and right now we are rewatching Star Trek Voyager, and it is something that we watched all those years ago, back in the 90s, and it was so long ago that right now every episode we watch feels like the first time we ever saw it, which says something about how old we are. But we're having so much fun enjoying this show together, and it's just one example of the way that we enjoy spending time together and sometimes really belly laughing, and that's just what we do. Our new favorite way of connecting is planning and taking e-ride bikes together. Last year, my husband and I decided to buy some e-bikes, the electric bikes that sort of help you along as you're getting a little older and maybe can't manage big hills like we used to. And so it's a really fun new way for us to connect. We'll plan a trip, like a day trip, and where we're going to go ride, and we'll load up the bikes, and we have the whole day together. We can talk a lot in the car, plus we get exercise. We actually get out, enjoy fresh air. We're doing something good for our bodies, good for our health, and a way to connect. And so it's been a really, really fun new way for us to connect. The different ways that we connect together as a couple. We both love our hot tub. We'll do that several nights a week. We love a good restaurant. We love to play games. We'll play Jenga or Yahtzee. We'll watch movies together. I think it's also important to do things that maybe your spouse really loves, and by you're doing it with them, you're connecting, even though it's not like your number one choice to do. But I'll sit with my husband and watch car videos because he's a real car guy, and he'll tell me all about the cars and the races, and so I've learned a lot through the years, and I do find myself enjoying it. I wouldn't sit there by myself and watch it probably, but I do with him because it is a point of connection.
Mark and I have so many different ways that we will do to connect. One of the main ways is that we already are lovers of Nintendo. We love to play the game system called the Switch, and we will play Mario Kart, we will play Mario Golf, and our newest game we're now playing is pickleball. And it's really a lot of fun, and sometimes we go back and we play the classic games. Another way that Mark and I will connect as a couple is that we will play board games. And one of our favorite games is playing Bananagrams. And another way that we connect is through the game. We actually will play Guess Who, which is a childhood favorite from when we were all little, but it's just so much fun. And so, it really just creates a time of laughter and connecting and being competitive. And it's just an organic way to connect, because how can you not have fun playing video games or playing board games? So those are some ways that Mark and I connect, and I hope that for all couples that we can make space for those moments to play and just have fun together. It's so important.
Next week on the podcast, we'll be talking about ambiguous grief. Yes, you heard me right. If you have grief over disappointment of things not coming to fruition in your life or losses of good things, this is the episode for you. Mental health therapist Melanie Eddy will be back with us, so be sure to tune in next Monday. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, please subscribe and review it wherever you listen. And please enter our giveaway contest that has been extended through February 25th. For more information, go to midlifecrescendo.com or visit us on Instagram at midlifecrescendo. Thanks for tuning in today, and remember, midlife is just a brand new season to find your passion and purpose for your grand finale. Talk next week.